Rivian's disastrous week that turned a big part of its loyal community against it points to what potentially looks like Rivian's CEO loss of control of his own company. State of Charge host Tom Moloughney will be here to try to make sense of what happened to once almost perfect electric startup fairy tale. Plus, in other electric car news, Lucid's disappointing numbers and a new factory announcement, Elon Musk reverses himself again, electric Jeep is coming, wireless charging by Volvo, and a new EV concept by Polestar. All of this is coming up next. Welcome to E4 Electric. If this is your first time here, all you have to do is click on that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. Rivian has already had a few terrible, no good, very bad months starting late last year, but what happened this week has been much more terrible and no gooder. Rivian's recent self-inflicting wounds have included losing a partnership with Ford, reportedly having a battery pack catch on fire at the factory, prioritizing Amazon over their core customer base, announcing deliveries while keeping most of them to their own employees, and a very slow production ramp-up while trying to cover it all up by manipulating automotive media with access, including borderline bullying, one of their more critical voices in rich rebuilds. Oh, wow, that was a long list of screw-ups to get through in one breath. Got me a little winded. Give me a second. But all of that pales in comparison to what happened this week, most likely inflicting irreversible damage to the brand, indicating the deeper, much more disturbing problems with the company and raising questions about the competence of their normally very likable CEO, RJ Scaringe. So, if you haven't heard already, all 70,000 plus Rivian reservation holders woke up on Tuesday with a bit of a headache and some nausea. Sure, this could be the symptoms of the new Omicron variant, but it was more likely caused by the realization that the prices of the trucks they have been so patiently waiting for have gone up by at least 12, but in some cases as much as $20,000. And I don't think Pfizer is working on a vaccine for that. Even the camp kitchen went up in price from already hefty $5,000 to $6,750, a 35% increase. Unless it now comes with a private chef, I think I'm gonna stick with some Tupperware and a lighter. Rivian has justified the hike with the industry increasing costs and announced that those who don't want to pay more will have a new option of getting a dual motor version that will be available to them in, get this, 2024. So you want them to wait for twice as long for half of the motors. What the Now, don't get me wrong, most car prices, including Tesla's, have gone up by 10 to 20% in the last couple of years, but you can't do it to your existing loyal reservation holders who have given you the interest-free deposits and have been patiently waiting while you struggled through a production ramp-up. But Rivian didn't seem to be raising prices on this one customer. Can you deliver a guess who that is? That's right, Daddy Bezos. I have reached out to Rivian asking them if the price increase would apply to Amazon, and as they usually do when I ask them the tough questions, they have taken the strategy of my Tinder matches and ghosted me promptly. And it's not like we didn't know what was going to happen. Tesla has tried pulling a similar stunt a few years back and created so much backlash that they had to roll their price increase back. So, can you guess what happened next, boys and girls? That's right, Rivian reservation holders have started canceling their orders in large numbers, and Rivian CEO RJ Scaringe rushed to release an apology and rolled all of the pricing increases back for those who made reservations before Tuesday. Now, don't get me wrong, I am glad they came to their senses and did the right thing, but screwing over your loyal fan base is much like a vasectomy. It's not 100% reversible, but it will cost you a lot of money and pain. It's a whole different ball game. But that still isn't the worst part of the story. I will tell you what it is after a quick reminder that this video is brought to you by VinFast. The deliveries of VF8 and VF9 EVs are arriving this year. When you reserve, you'll get an e-voucher towards your VF8 or VF9, a VinFast NFT, and a stay at a luxury resort. Learn more and reserve your VinFast EV using the link in the description of this video. So, what could be worse than screwing over your entire fan base overnight and then having to reverse it a couple of days later when you are at risk of losing most of them? Well, how about allegedly planning it all along and hiding it from the public to have a better IPO, which in itself could be a subject for an investigation by SEC. Enter Laura Schwab, a former head of sales at Rivian. Former because she was fired and later filed a discrimination lawsuit, which is irrelevant to the story except one part where she claims that the price hike was planned all along but was delayed to after the IPO. Schwab claims that she raised concerns that the original pricing would result in a loss but was asked not to bring it up to RJ. These are serious accusations from a well-respected industry executive who called this right on the money back in 2021. This is wrong and most likely is subject to actions by regulators, which brings us really to Rivian's CEO, RJ Scaringe. I have met and talked to RJ and his family on multiple occasions, and my impression till this day is that he is an outstanding, good man and an inspiring leader. So how could all these bad things be happening when a good man is in charge, from PR and communication disasters to production and now sales? If you ask me, I think RJ has surrounded himself with incompetent and corrupt people in his executive staff, and unless he recognizes that, cleans the house and takes back the leadership of the company, he will be on the wrong side of the history of this once inspiring and exciting startup. This is not the adventure your customers signed up for. And for more, as always, we turn to the host of the State of Charge YouTube channel and a Rivian reservation holder, still, I think, Tom Moloughney. All right, Tom. So listen, you and I were fans of Rivian from day one. We were at the very first unofficial unveiling in LA, and you're a reservation holder on top of that. Is this the worst thing that happened to Rivian since they've unveiled the truck?
Yeah, I would have to say this is pretty much the worst thing that I've seen come from this company since we first heard the name Rivian.
Why do you think this happened? Because this is something that I felt, they could have learned on someone else's mistakes, and definitely that includes Tesla. Why make this a mistake that was so obvious wasn't going to go well?
Alex, that's $1 million question. They made a huge mistake. I make mistakes, you make mistakes, they made a mistake. Unfortunately, it was a huge one.
Any way out of it? I mean, I know they basically said, okay, just kidding, and that's great. But and you can speak for yourself as well because you are one of the first Rivian reservation holders. Was the trust broken to the point where it's going to be almost impossible to fix?
Well, I think everybody's going to have their own individual answer to that question, Alex. Yeah, this was really serious, a serious violation of trust. And for some people, I would imagine there's probably no turning back. But, I think they did go a long way with the reservation holders to say, okay, my bad, we won't charge you anymore. You can still have your truck. And, I think a lot of people look at their wallet and say, okay, no harm, no foul. I'm going to get my truck. I'll give them this one. But, this was serious, and a lot of people aren't going to forgive them.
What about you personally? Did you keep your reservation? And were you going to keep your reservation if they didn't reverse themselves?
Yeah, I didn't cancel, and I wasn't going to. Alex, I'm in a little bit of a different position than most people buying the truck. I'm getting it for my work. I know that I'm going to be able to make a lot of really interesting content with that truck. So for me, I kind of have to get it. And to be honest with you, it's a fantastic truck. I think it's priced appropriately now. I think it was too cheap for what that truck offered before. Now, that doesn't mean that it was a good thing what they did with this kind of, bait and switch move, which, I'm not going to say it really qualifies as that, but it's close. But I think it's actually appropriately priced right now. Before, I thought I was really getting a bargain for the content that's in that vehicle.
All right, now let's talk about RJ because we both know him, and I think we both have a high opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm starting to having a hard time understanding how a good CEO and a good man, we've met him personally many times, I really consider him a good man, can allow for not just this, right? But there are other things that I've reported on, only a couple of months ago that were just unacceptable. Is he not aware of this? Or is he aware and going along with this for the investors or whatever? Like, what is happening with RJ?
So yeah, I've talked to him numerous occasions, as you mentioned earlier, and he actually seems like a genuinely good person. But do I know him that well to know that that's a front or that's really the real RJ? No, I don't. So but I can say one thing. Clark Kent. If you remember, everyone was calling him Superman, Clark Kent for a while. There's some chinks in the armor, and they've made some big missteps. And, I'm not willing to blame it on people underneath RJ. He is the CEO. He's the founder. The buck stops there. So all of these missteps that you've documented, this enormous miscalculation that they just did now, I've got to rest it on RJ's shoulders because, he's the top of the company and everything that happens is his responsibility.
All right, but what does he do moving forward? Does he fire people who were in charge of, sales decisions and communications and manufacturing? Because things have gone wrong almost in. There is a VP that he has somewhere that's responsible for some a clusterfuck, for the lack of a better word. What does he do now with those people?
Well, he has to take a real hard look at whatever team planned this announcement about the price increase, and that's job number one, which I'd be shocked if they're not already doing, but I can't believe that he wasn't, he didn't approve this and say, okay, yeah, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to send out these emails and tell everybody they're paying more money. The big issue I have, Alex, wasn't necessarily the price increase because yes, the vehicle costs a lot more now to produce than what they had thought it would with all these supply chain issues, with the COVID shutdowns. That added a lot of money onto the cost of the vehicle. That's not the problem. The problem to me is that, they went in this with reservation holders and telling them, you're not getting a penny of a break. I think if they would have just done this price increase and told reservation holders, your price is going to go up too, but it's only going to go up, say, a third of what the price increase was going to be for everyone else, I think most reservation holders would accept that and say, we understand, the taking them more to build a car, but to not give the reservation holders even a penny of a discount, that to me was their biggest misstep.
But okay, what now? What now? What does he and the company do now? Because me and you are still rooting for them. And obviously you're going to be a customer. What does he have to do now, internally and externally, right? I think there's most of the damage is external. All right, maybe they can't build back the trust that they had only a couple of weeks ago, but put themselves in a better position that they are now.
It's good. It's going to be the long game, Alex. There's nothing he's going to do tomorrow to correct this. You could say, oh, he can make an announcement that I'm forming a committee to evaluate our business decisions. All that nobody cares about. What they care about is moving forward now. We need, a year of no controversy, and just everything going smoothly, production ramping up on R1Ts, more and more deliveries. They'll start delivering the R1Ss, no more missteps. I think if that happens, they're going to be okay.
Let's say me and you are on a committee. Do you fire the head of communications, head of PR, head of manufacturing, head of sales? Because all of that has gone horrifically wrong, not just with this one, right? I just did a story about them intimidating Ridge Rebuilds in front of my eyes, which was beyond unacceptable. Do you just get rid of what essentially looks like a really bad people around one good person, or do you try to make them better?
Well, I think any company should constantly reevaluate management. And, I'm not going to advocate for firing anybody here on YouTube right now, but what I will say is the team that was responsible for planning this price increase and announcing it the way they did, they should take a close look at who really organized that and decided this is how we were going to do it.
Now, did you know that Rivian reservation holders are allowed to have their YouTube channels? I know, crazy. But Tom is one of them, so don't forget to subscribe to his. I put a link to it in the description of this video. Before we get to our next story, let's check out the grumpy comment of the week. And this one comes from JC Austin 320, who says, "You should lift weights, bro. You might be able to get into a medium shirt." JC Austin 320 likes big studs and he cannot lie. But seriously, only in America people would suggest that it's a good thing to get bigger. I mean, I'm on 2 diets and 3 sports teams, so I can continue fitting into my, extra medium shirts. But thank you. I appreciate your big idea, bro. On to the next story, and Lucid has announced its Q4 earnings and reported that they have delivered 125 Air sedans in 2021 and 300 to date. Reservations have surpassed an impressive 25,000 mark, and Lucid says it will make and deliver at least 12,000 EVs this year. Sounds a little doubtful, granted that it's March and they have only delivered about 200 of them so far, but it is even less impressive if you knew that just a few months ago they were planning on delivering 20,000 of them. That's a 40% cut in the output. Lucid's second EV model, which is the SUV called Gravity, ironically gravitated away from 2023 launch now to 2024. John Mayer was right. Gravity does want to bring me down. Lucid has also announced it will build its second factory in Saudi Arabia, which is disappointing but understandable, as their major investor that once saved them from dying is Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, which I can tell you as a journalist is my least favorite public investment fund. Elon Musk this week said that Tesla could have made a 600-mile Model S 12 months ago, but he believes that nobody really needs an EV range bigger than around 400 miles. For those of you with a short memory, Tesla Model S range was announced at the Battery Day with over 500 miles, but Tesla scrapped that idea right before the model launch. Well, that's too bad, because there were so many people excited about a 500-mile or even a 600-mile Tesla, especially this guy.
The range, this is going to have a 200 kilowatt hour battery pack. So 606, these numbers sound nutty, but they're real. 620 mile range, that's a 1,000 kilometer range. This will be the first time an electric vehicle breaks 1,000 kilometers. A production electric vehicle will travel more than 1,000 kilometers in a single charge at highway speed.
Oh well, I mean, I guess we all get overly excited about things. I mean, it's not like Tesla is still flaunting that 620-mile range on their websites trying to sell this thing. Oh. After lots of bitching and complaining about going electric, Stellantis has announced big plans for its EV lineup. One of them is an all-electric Jeep that is supposed to go in production next year, and they've also released another teaser for the electric Ram 1500 truck, which is supposed to go on sale in 2024. Hey, it's great to see the Stellantis brands now behind everybody else by only 3 years. Volvo revealed that it is testing a wireless EV charging technology which allows for charging to start automatically when a compatible vehicle parks over a pad embedded into the street. The charge speed will be at around 40 kilowatts, which obviously is nothing to brag about, but it is a good start. Polestar has unveiled its second concept vehicle, the Polestar 02, a 2-door electric roadster convertible. Now, O2 stands for oxygen, which literally is air. And that is also ironic because Polestar is not actually planning on making it. So you stole the name from Lucid, O2, Air, whatever, and you also stole the idea of creating a roadster you're not going to actually make anytime soon from Tesla. Way to innovate, Polestar. Oh, and did I mention it has a drone it poops out from a back window that can be deployed mid-drive and follow the car at up to 56 miles an hour? I guess it's all fun and games until the concept car goes into a tunnel or reality. You never know when you hit one. Which reminds me, don't forget to join me in my reality for our weekly live subscriber hangouts on Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific. You can set a reminder on the homepage of this channel. All right, looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.